Guess who's back? It's Bubba. Bubba G. And Bubba G is teaching Bible basics for all those who want to know, but especially those 10 and under, because you need to learn. You need to learn the Bible. In the last video, we was talking about Moses in the desert with the children of Israel. They got out of the Red Sea. They crossed the Red Sea. They got out of Egypt. And they didn't have no water, remember? God gave them water. So now we're going to see what's next. Chapter 16. Manna and the quails. The whole Israelite community set out from Elim, and on the 15th day of the second month after they had left Egypt, they came to the desert of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai. There in the desert, they all complained to Moses and Aaron and said to them, "We wish that the Lord had killed us in Egypt. There we could at least sit down and eat meat as much other food as we wanted, and as much food as they wanted." Let's read that again. There we could at least sit down and eat meat and as much other food as we wanted. So they were complaining, like, man, at least we had food. But you have brought us out into this desert to starve us all to death. The Lord said to Moses, now I am going to cause food to rain down from the sky for all of you. Did you hear what God just said? God just said, I'm going to rain food down from the sky since you're complaining. The people must go out every day and gather enough for that day. In this way, I can test them to find out if they will follow my instructions. So, this is a test. Right? On the 6th day, they are to bring in twice as much as usual and prepare it. So Moses, this is verse 6. So Moses and Aaron said to all the Israelites, this evening you will know that it was the Lord who brought you out of Egypt. In the morning you will see the dazzling light of the Lord's presence. He has heard your complaints against him. Yes, against him, because you are only carrying out his instruction. Because we are only carrying out his instructions. Okay. Then Moses said, it is the Lord who will give you meat to eat in the evening and as much bread as you want in the morning, because he has heard how much you have complained against him. When you complain against us, you are really complaining against the Lord. Moses said to Aaron, tell the whole community to come and stand before the Lord, because he has heard their complaints. As Aaron spoke to the whole community, they turned toward the desert, and suddenly the dazzling light of the Lord appeared in a cloud. The Lord said to Moses, I have heard the complaints of the Israelites. Tell them that at twilight they will have meat to eat, and in the morning they will have all the bread they want. Then they will know that I, the Lord, am their God. So God is saying, I am going to give them bread in the morning, meat at night. It is coming from the sky. And by this, you're going to know that I am the Lord your God. In the evening, verse 13, in the evening, a large flock of quails flew in, enough to cover the camp. And in the morning, there was dew all around the camp. When the dew evaporated, there was something thin and flaky on the surface of the desert. It was a as delicate as frost. When the Israelites saw it, they didn't know what it was and asked each other, "What is it?" Moses said to them, "This is the food that the Lord has given you to eat. The Lord has commanded that each of you is to gather as much of it as he needs, 2 quarts for each member of his household." The Israelites did this. Some gathered more, others less. Then they measured it. Those who gathered much did not have too much, and those who gathered less did not have too little. Each had gathered just what he needed. Moses said to them, "No one is to keep any of it for tomorrow." But some of them did not listen to Moses and saved part of it. The next morning it was full of worms and smelled rotten, and Moses was angry with them. Every morning each one gathered as much as he needed, and when the sun grew hot, what was left on the ground melted. On the 6th day, they gathered twice as much food, 4 quarts for each person. All the leaders of the community came and told Moses about it. And he said to them, "The Lord has commanded that tomorrow is a holy day of rest, dedicated to him. Bake today what you want to bake, and boil what you want to boil. Whatever is left should be put aside and kept for tomorrow." As Moses has commanded, they kept what was left until the next day. It did not spoil or get worms in it. Moses said, "Eat this today because today is the Sabbath day, a day of rest dedicated to the Lord. And you will not find any food outside the camp. You must gather food for 6 days. But on the 7th day, the day of rest, there will be none." So what do we see here? Well, let's keep reading. Verse 27. On the 7th day, some of the people went out to gather food, but they did not find any. Then the Lord said to Moses, "How much longer will you people refuse to obey my commands?" So they went out looking for it on the 7th day. But God said, "Don't do that. God don't like that." He said, "Don't do something, don't do it." Right? Yes. Okay. Okay. Remember that I, the Lord, have given you a day of rest. And that is why on the 6th day I will always give you enough food for 2 days. Everyone is to stay where he is on the 7th day and not leave his home. So the people did not work on the 7th day. The people of Israel called the food manna. It was like a small white seed, and tasted like thin cakes made with honey. Wow. Moses said, "The Lord has commanded us to save some manna to be kept for our descendants, so that they can see the food which he gave us to eat in the desert when he brought us out of Egypt." Moses said to Aaron, "Take a jar, put 2 quarts of manna in it, and place it in the Lord's presence to be kept for our descendants." As the Lord had commanded Moses, Aaron put it in front of the covenant box so that it could be kept. The Israelites ate manna for the next 40 years until they reached the land of Canaan, where they settled. The standard dry measure then in use equaled 20 quarts. So what do we see here? We see God said, "I am going to give you bread and meat because you've been complaining so much. By this you're going to know that I am God because it's going to come from the sky." Yes. Bread in the morning. He sent quail. Meat in the evening. Yes. Okay. Then what else happens? Then they got water from a rock. And then they started having wars. They had a war with the Amalekites, some of their enemies. So now they're in the desert. Now they have water from God. God is doing miracles. They had manna, and they had quail.